this problem here, you were given g of x equals 3y over y plus 5. We need to find the x-intercept. David, how do you find an x-intercept? Come back to you, Marisol. How do we find a y-intercept? Trying to find a y-intercept. Okay, that's if we are finding the range. David, you got the x-intercept? When y is equal to 0? David, there is no, well, this is probably a bad problem. Let's change these to x's. Because normally you guys don't see the variable y there. Kind of confusing. Put x's. So 3x over x plus 5. There's our y right here. David says make y equal to 0. Class, how do you make 0 a fraction? I have a proportions, two fractions equal to each other. I can cross multiply. 0 equals 3x. Class, when does 0 equal 3x? Never. No solution. So there is no x-intercept. So that's just 1 times 3x, and this is 0 times the expression, and that turns into 0. Marisol? How do we find a y-intercept? We're going to make x equals 0. So if you get a problem and the variables are different, you can just do what I did. You can change that to a y. And these have y variables. It's okay. You change it back to an x. It's okay. So y equals 3 times 0 over 0 plus 5. And class, that just becomes what? And 0 over 5 is? Huh? 0. Y-intercept is 0, 0. Raise your hand if you got that. Uh-oh. Good job, dude. Okay. Now let's find the domain algebraically. Well, this scenario matches this one. Do you see it? It's just a fraction. So I'm going to set that x plus 5 not equal to 0. And if I solve that, subtract 5, says x cannot equal negative 5. That is actually my inequality for my domain. Bracket all values of x such that x cannot equal negative 5. Okay, let's think about this. If the only number that you can't pick is negative 5, how would you write that in integral notation? Parentheses, what? Negative. Remember, you can pick all the values except for negative 5. So starting the way left, this is your left, negative infinity to what? But don't include it. Parentheses or bracket? Parentheses, union, running a space, negative 5 to infinity. So that's our integral notation. Okay, let's get the range. Now, this one you kind of want a visual, don't you? So pull out your calculators. Everyone say extra parentheses. You want to have extra parentheses. So for my numerator, I'm going to have 3x. And then I'm going to divide that by x plus 5. Punch it in. And then I'm going to press, how do I get a graph? I'm going to press zoom. What number? 6. It looks like. Okay. We should recognize these as rational functions. What type of functions are these, class? Okay, pay attention. Write that down. Rational function. What's a rational function? This example. The example we're doing right here. Why do I point this out? It is possible, eventually, you may not see this part of the graph. You see it? Everyone say 2 curves. You should have at least 2 curves on your graph. I remember last year's quiz and test. I remember that when students put on their calculator, there was only 1 curve. So what do you think students drew? 1 curve. How did you get the second curve? You change the window. You zoom out. Okay? So let's draw this one. That line right there, we already have it. It's right here. X equals -5. So next week we'll actually know how to graph every single part of the rational function. We're kind of just building our skills to get some of them. So I'm going to go to x equals -5. I'm going to draw a dotted line for my vertical asymptote, my infinite discontinuity, and you'll kind of notice something. It appears that there is a line, like right here, where the graphs aren't touching. Do you see that? So we'll kind of guess that that value is kind of like a, for now, not as important. Now, I did go through the origin because that's my y-intercept. Do you see that? I'm sorry, my x-intercept. No, just kidding, y-intercept. Hey, we weren't supposed to get a x-intercept. What happened? Because it touches the x-axis, right? Do you guys see that? And then your other graph might look something like this. So there's kind of like a line there. We'll learn about that next week. That one should have worked. 0 times x plus 5. I know why. What were you thinking, Miss Ring? Class, what's divided by 3? What's 0 divided by 3? Dummy me. X equals 0. Because I looked at my calculator and all the pieces are coming together, right? It does cross the x-axis. It just so happens that your x and y-intercept are the same. That's called the origin.
I love math. You don't love math? What's wrong with you?